When the new millennium came around, we thought the 90s were gone for good. But over time, we realized that there's something special about 90s nostalgia. Even 90s fashion has returned in style, with chokers, high-rise mom jeans, and crop tops making a big return. Still, there were a few things we couldn't bring with us into the 2000s, and now they're just memories from the past. Here's a look at 10 things that were left behind in the 90s, like pagers, for example, which are unlikely to make a comeback. Let's take a look at 10 of these truly 90s relics. Starting our list at number 10, Tamagotchi. In the late 90s, Japanese inventors Akihiro Yokoi and Aki Maeda came up with a clever fix for a familiar problem. What if you wanted a pet but couldn't have one, whether because you were traveling or just weren't allowed? They introduced us to Tamagotchi, a small egg-shaped gadget with 3 buttons, and it became an instant hit. It was part pet, part electronic game, allowing users to pick a virtual animal to feed, play with, and care for. Like a real pet, a Tamagotchi needed attention, and it could even die if neglected, teaching owners a thing or two about responsibility without the heartbreak of a real pet passing away. The Tamagotchi craze took off, selling 82 million units worldwide from 1996 to 2017. Kids and adults alike were glued to their pocket pets, sometimes even putting off real-life tasks to keep up with them. But over time, the popularity of these virtual pets faded as newer trends took over. Although there have been a few attempts to bring the Tamagotchi back in the 2000s, none have quite matched the original hype that made it a 90s sensation. Next up, number 9, we have a valid symbol of 90s music lovers. The Walkman and its evolution, the portable CD player. These devices were essential if you wanted music on the go. Back then, there was no streaming, no endless playlists at your fingertips. If you wanted to listen to your favorite songs outside of your home or car, you needed a Walkman. This compact, rectangular tape player ran on batteries and let you pop in a cassette, plug in your headphones, and take your music wherever you went. As music formats evolved, so did portable players. When cassettes started to be replaced by compact discs, also known as CDs, people swapped their Walkmans for portable CD players, often called Discman. A Discman was like a mini CD player you could carry with you, and it felt pretty high-tech for the time. But there was one little catch with portable CD players. CDs would skip if you moved around too much. The solution was to get a model with an anti-skip feature, which helped keep your music smooth, even if you were on the move. While it didn't completely prevent skipping, it made it possible to listen without every bump interrupting your favorite track. Today, both the Walkman and the portable CD player are more nostalgia pieces than necessities, but back then, they were the ultimate ticket to music freedom. And at number 8, we have applying for a job in person. These days, almost everything is done online. But 20 years ago, if you wanted a job, you'd walk right into a store or business with your resume in hand, ready to make a good impression. You'd hand your CV over, maybe have a quick chat, and hope to hear back soon. If you tried doing that today, most places would just direct you to their website, telling you to apply online. With nearly every job application process now digital, there's not much point in trying to go the old-fashioned route anymore. Now and at number 7 is disposable cameras. Back in the 90s, if you wanted to capture a moment but didn't own a regular camera, disposable cameras were the go-to. You would snap away, but there was no telling if your pictures turned out well until you got them developed. You'd take the camera or film roll to a photo shop, hand in your ticket, and wait to pick up your photos. Sure, today you might still see disposable cameras as a fun touch at weddings, so guests can snap candid shots. But in the 90s, these were the main option for capturing memories. The excitement of picking up your photos was often met with disappointment, though, when you'd find out the film had spoiled and half your pictures didn't come out. It was a gamble, but it was all part of the experience. And at number 6, we have pagers or beepers, which were once an essential gadget of the 90s. Invented by engineer Al Gross in 1949, pagers were initially designed for doctors, though it took a while for them to catch on. Many medical professionals worried that the constant beeping would bother their patients or interrupt their own downtime. But the device proved so practical that even in today's smartphone era, many doctors still use them. By 1994, around 61 million pagers were active worldwide. These tiny devices weren't just popular among doctors, they became a major 90s trend, even catching on with non-medical users. Pagers had a bit of a shady reputation too, as they became popular with drug dealers, leading some schools to ban them outright. However, the arrival of mobile phones quickly pushed pagers aside. People were drawn to cell phones for their flexibility and extra features, which pagers simply couldn't offer. Coming in at number 5 is gaming magazines. Back in the 90s, video games were still considered somewhat niche, so they didn't get much coverage on TV or the early internet. That's where gaming magazines came in. If you were a gamer back then, you probably subscribed to one or more of these magazines. Titles like Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, Computer Gaming World, and Tips and Tricks brought you all the latest in gaming news, previews, reviews, cheat codes, and walkthroughs. They were packed with in-depth articles about upcoming releases and featured surprising levels of reader interaction for big-name publications. Unfortunately, the digital age quickly took over. As internet journalism grew, the need for printed monthly issues began to fade away. Why wait weeks for the latest scoop when you could find it online instantly? So, while these magazines were once the ultimate source of gaming knowledge, most eventually shut down, leaving behind fond memories for the 90s gaming crowd. Now, let's talk about Pogs, which have come in at number 4. In 1991, a teacher in Hawaii named Blossom Galbiso introduced her students to a fun game she had learned from her grandparents called milk cap flipping. Instead of using regular milk caps, she used the disposable lids from a local juice brand called Passion Orange Guava, or POG for short. Surprisingly, this simple game took off and became a huge hit across the United States. However, a mix of different factors eventually dimmed its popularity. In just 3 years, Pog sold 350 million units, with California alone raking in $10 million a week. The game became so popular that even the Catholic Church got involved. According to the New York Times, Pope John Paul II had 50,000 Pogs made featuring his image, which he gave to kids during his 1995 visit to New Jersey. But like many other 90s crazes, the excitement around Pogs began to fade due to some negative associations and oversaturation in the market. Schools started banning Pogs to reduce gambling among students, and the market got flooded with too many similar products. Interestingly, the company behind the Pog drink, Haleakala Dairy, didn't benefit from the Pog craze at all, and even tried to stop other companies from using the name by filing multiple lawsuits. There was a revival attempt in 2005, but it ultimately didn't work out. One thing that was common in the 90s and is unlikely to return is going to the library for research, which has taken out the 3rd spot on the countdown. Nowadays, thanks to the internet, you can easily find information for any school project from the comfort of your home. Back in the 90s, though, you had to physically go to the library and spend hours looking through books and magazines. You might even have needed help from a knowledgeable family member to find what you were looking for. And let's not forget about the old Britannica encyclopedia you could find at your grandma's house, filled with all kinds of information. Those days of hunting for facts in dusty books are long gone, and for good. And at number 2, we have something special: video rental stores. For those who grew up in the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, these places hold a cherished spot in their memories. Although the first video rental stores opened in the late 70s, it was during the 90s that chains like Hollywood Video and Blockbuster truly soared in popularity. Many families made weekly trips to these stores a beloved tradition, eagerly browsing for the latest releases and hunting for hidden gems. However, this once thriving industry began to fade away as Netflix and other streaming services took center stage. By 2010, Hollywood Video had closed its doors for good. And now Blockbuster stands as a nostalgic relic, with only one remaining store in Bend, Oregon, which still attracts a handful of curious customers. Last but not least, and at number 1, we have PDAs, or Personal Digital Assistants. The term was first used by Apple CEO John Sculley to describe the Newton Message Pad, which the company launched in 1993. This device was considered groundbreaking for its time, featuring basic handwriting recognition and minimal infrared support for data input. Even though Apple managed to sell 80,000 Newton units in its first year, they stopped making new models by 1998 because they couldn't bring down the cost. However, this didn't stop PDAs from gaining huge popularity, thanks in large part to Palm's 1997 release of the Palm Pilot. The Palm Pilot had an easy-to-use interface, longer battery life, and a more efficient way to enter data compared to other devices. Its success, along with other devices like Hewlett-Packard's Jornada line and Compaq's iPad Pocket PC, allowed the PDA market to thrive for several years, with users enjoying features like data entry, media playback, and basic calculations. But as smartphones began to emerge, the popularity of PDAs started to fade. By the mid-2000s, most major companies left the PDA market since mobile phones offered more features at similar prices. Even Palm tried to adapt by launching the Palm phone in 2018, which PC Magazine called just a secondary phone that gives you just enough connectivity that you can leave your main phone at home. Well, there you have it. 10 things in the 1990s that used to be completely necessary, now obsolete. What did you know about and feel most nostalgic about? Are you happy that these things are most likely never coming back in our age of technology? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.